Hey everyone, welcome to Healthy Mind, Healthy Life, where we uncover the tools, strategies, and stories to empower you or your mental and emotional well being. I'm your host Avik, and today we are diving into a topic that's as important as it is challenging: breaking free from the toxic relationships. So, joining us is the incredible Kimber Foster. So, welcome to the show, Kimber.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Lovely, lovely. So, Kimber, before we start our conversation, I'd quickly love to introduce you to all of our listeners. Dear listeners, Kimber is an author and advocate whose powerful story of survival, resilience, and healing is nothing sort of inspiring. So, Kimber's book, A Year of Thorns: What to Expect When Divorcing a Narcissist, it offers the raw, first-hand insight into escaping the grip of a toxic relationship while reclaiming your identity and the joy. So, whether you are navigating the complexities of a toxic relationship, rebuilding your life, or simply curious about what it takes to find true freedom, then this episode is for you. So, why to wait? Let's dive in. Welcome to the show again, Kimber.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Great, lovely. So, Kimber, to start with, I mean, if you can share your story, what was the turning point when you knew that you had to leave the toxic relationship?
I explain it. It was a culmination of many things over many years. I was married 27 years, together with my ex for 30. Um, and when I had my light bulb moment, was actually on our wedding anniversary, which is sad in itself. But I talk about it in like the story of the frog. When you place a frog in a pot of warm water and you increase the temperature over time, that frog will eventually boil to death. But they don't realize it because it's a gradual over time kind of period. But if you put a frog in a pot of boiling hot water, they're going to jump out right away. So I explained that I was that frog, and it was just a culmination. It was like a million drops in a bucket, and that final drop just tipped it over. Um, I was living in a foreign country. I couldn't just pack up with three small children and move. I knew my marriage was bad towards the end. I'd become a husk of the person I was. I was depressed. Um, it was really difficult. It was really difficult at that point. And I think what was even more challenging was to take that first step. I knew it was bad. I knew I had to get out, not for just myself, but for the sake of my children. I didn't want to keep teaching them what a dysfunctional relationship was. It wasn't healthy for anybody.
Yeah, I can understand. And um, also, you talk about enduring the abuse during the divorce process.
Yeah.
So, why is leaving sometimes harder than staying, even when it's the right choice?
Well, in my three
Mhm.
key tips to breaking free, the first one is fear. Um, what you're not changing, you're choosing. Every day you stay in a toxic relationship, you're choosing to remain in that cycle of pain and suffering. But fear is what keeps you stuck. It's fear of the unknown, the fear of change, even the fear of being alone. For me, that was really scary. I never liked being alone. Um, so that keeps you in a situation and keeps you trapped in a situation that isn't serving you. You can't grow in an environment that's toxic, in a constant state of fear. It's not good for your health. It's not good for your body. Um, because it's that you're on that constant fight or flight, um, adrenaline. It's just not good for your health and your body. And you can't become who you're meant to be when you're living in a constant state of fear. Um, breaking free requires courage. It's not easy, but you need to push beyond those boundaries of your comfort zone. I always say it's your struggles, it's those trials and tribulations that make you stronger.
Understood. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, um, like, what's the first step someone should take when they realize that their relationship is toxic?
Well, you need to be honest with yourself. Like I said, well, you're not changing, you're choosing. So you need to take that first step, albeit it's hard, but you start taking those many steps and you can do it. But you need to be prepared. Um, Financially, you need to have a nest egg. You got to have some money hidden away. You have to have all your bank and statements in a row. Um, and you need to have a good legal consultant so you know the steps, especially if there's children's and joint assets and things like that. Um, and also if you have anything of importance, anything that matters to you, make sure you take it and hide it prior to the divorce. It's a big
Oh,
component for me. And then make sure you know that you have a safe place to go. Friend, family, a shelter. It's very important. For me, I didn't have that luxury. My ex wouldn't move out of the house, and I didn't have any money of my own. So I was forced to stay in the marital home for a year during the divorce process. It was not good for me. It was not good for our children. It wasn't good for anybody.
okay.
Yeah.
So also, like, some people argue that all relationships have challenges. So how can someone distinguish between a tough patch and a toxic pattern?
Well, you just have to listen to your gut. You know, you know. But when in my book I talk about what a narcissist is and what a psychopath is, and they have a way of manipulating you and controlling you and putting you on this crazy wheel that you don't know how to jump off. You don't know what is your true reality. Um, you think you're the crazy one. You think, I'm depressed and I don't know what to do. But deep down, you got to trust your gut. I wish I had trusted mine more. It's important.
Mm.
Yeah.
And also, like, what do you think? Like, what role does self-doubt play in staying in the toxic relationship, and how can listeners overcome it?
Well, that's again, it's back to fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of being alone, fear that no one's going to love you, that you're not the person you once were. I was out of the corporate sector for a number of years, having lived overseas, and I didn't know if I could get a job. My skill set was completely outdated. Um, but again, you just got to trust and believe in God and believe in yourself. Um, that's the key components, overcoming that fear and stepping outside those boundaries that you've put around yourself and taking that first step.
So yeah, and for those who like feel trapped, especially with the children involved, uh, what practical steps can they take to regain the control?
It's really important. When children are involved, uh, the amount of conflict between the parents has the
Mm.
biggest effect on the children. Um,
Yeah.
I have what I call my divorce checklist. And you know what? If your readers want a copy, I'll give them a free copy today. I'll put it in the link. This is a great survival kit for those people who are contemplating getting divorced or going through a breakup because there's so many things that are involved when children are in the I want to say struggle because they're caught like they're used as weapons and they're caught in between and it's just not fair to the children. But like in the States, for example, we have an umbrella for child support and that covers, the basics. It's food, shelter, and clothing. But there's so many other components that parents really need to cover when they're going through a divorce, like cell phones. Who buys the cell phones? Who pays for the plan? What if it breaks? The kids are always breaking their phones. And as the kids get older, graduations, weddings, all that kind of stuff, sports equipment, all that stuff that's not under the canopy of child support. Your parents really need to come to an agreement so that the kids aren't caught in the middle.
Mhm. Understood.
And again, and then during the process, it's important to each parent to have a safe place where they can be and be alone and not bring the kids into the middle of it. Because it's not good for the kids to hear each parent talking negative about the other parent.
Mm.
It does them no good. It just gives them more anxiety. So the most that you can keep the kids separated from the whole process, the better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Understood. Understood. And like listeners often wonder that is it possible for someone toxic to change, or is leaving always the best option?
They're not going to change. I can tell you that without a doubt. Well, the narcissist is not going to change. The narcissistic psychopath will do everything in their control to ruin you and destroy you. It's not going to get better. So the sooner you get out, the better. I wish I had gotten out a long time ago. But, I did it and I'm at a better place now because of it. I just wish I had done it sooner.
Yeah, I can understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like after living, what's your advice for rebuilding trust in yourself and others?
That's a really good question. You just need to trust your feelings and believe in yourself and learn to love yourself again. You are worthy. You deserve a relationship of love that treats you with respect and kindness. You're worthy. You just got to believe in yourself again. And I was watching some Instagram message the other day, and this woman had such a wonderful message. She said, "Stop telling the story of your year of suffering." For me, that's my year of thorns. That's my whole journal. It's everything I went through. And I actually had to shelf it for a couple of years when I was editing it. I'm not a writer by any means, but I felt driven to tell the story. I needed to learn it and understand and figure out how I'd gotten to that place in my life, make sense of it before I moved
Mm.
on. But it gets to a point too, though, where you just got to stop telling that year of suffering, because every time you speak those negative words, you're manifesting it. So instead, now I try
Mm.
to focus on what brings me happiness, what brings me joy. I start telling the story of my thriving year, not the year of my suffering. It's just that whole mindset is trying to be positive, and it really does make a difference. You need to let go. And I say that through my book all the time. Don't engage, let go, and believe in yourself. Those are my 3 big takeaways.
Lovely, lovely. So that's really great. In another episode of Healthy Mind and Healthy Life. And Kimber, thank you so much for sharing your courage, wisdom, and the practical advice. Your story is definitely a testament to the power of resilience and the possibility of rebuilding a beautiful life after breaking free. That's great. So, for the listeners, I'd love to mention, like, if you found this episode helpful or know someone who could benefit from Kimber's message, then do not forget to share it. And always remember that breaking free is the first step towards living a life filled with peace and the joy. So, stay tuned for more inspiring stories and the actionable steps. And as always, like, take care of your mind, because a healthy mind leads to a healthy life. So until next time, this is your host Avik signing off. Thank you so much.
Thank you.